my vision went like heat waves. It just went like heat waves. And I was like this, and it overcame me so much that I had to fall back on my bed like this. And I just looked out my window and I saw stars shooting past me. It wasn't like when you get lightheaded and you see stars. That wasn't what was happening. It was, I actually saw stars, like I was heading like through a tunnel. Like I was teleporting through some sort of wormhole in broad daylight while I was wide awake. Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Val Mason, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about my experience with the Kundalini Awakening. Now, this is a very interesting topic, and for me personally, it was the pivotal moment of my entire life. You know, if I live to be 98 years old, I will always say that 2020, during my Kundalini Awakening, was the turning point of my life. As a Kundalini Awakening is completely life-changing. So what triggered my Kundalini Awakening was my spiritual union with my twin flame. And I remember the moment that it came on. I was laying in bed, and what came over me was a blissful feeling in every cell of my being, from the tip of my head to my toes, that I had never experienced before. Now, mind you, I had been experiencing true love all of my life, as that's been a part of my life's path, is to experience true love. And, you know, I realized that there are many people that have actually never experienced true divine love. And if they do, typically, they might only experience it once. I know many people who have experienced divine love of their higher self counterpart, and they've only experienced that once. I had known my twin for 13 years prior to that. And would you believe I had never heard of the term twin flame? Never. I had never heard of the term twin flame. Probably because I had experienced unconditional love with so many other people. You know, I didn't really consider her my one and only. But when the Kundalini Awakening occurred and my life began to change from the inside out. Now, my Kundalini Awakening, this kind of happened gradually over the course of, I want to say, 2 weeks to a month. And I'll get more into it. But, you know, when I started to experience this, and I began to feel unbound in every sense, completely blissful. That's when I began to explore and research a little bit more about this nature of love. And I discovered that, you know, this is what is considered a twin flame. I had no idea prior that, you know, that there was such a thing. You know, I had no idea. There were a number of things that were occurring and happening to me during my Kundalini Awakening. Not only was it an complete, from the cellular level, an opening up on every level, it was many things, but it was never less than intense. But in everything that it was intense. It was very dark, and it was the most exquisite bliss I had ever experienced. I had a dark energy that was attached to me for those 13 years, actually, that I knew my twin flame. It occurred, that energy attached to me during my first episode of sleep paralysis. I was living with my father at the time, and I was laying in bed. And I was in this state of sleep paralysis. And I had never, well, I actually have experienced this before when I was a child. I was battling darkness and demons like this in other dimensions as a child, which I won't get into in this video. But I was experiencing this horrid fear And I was unable to move, but I was conscious. I just could not move. And I was laying on my side facing the wall. And I knew that there was a dark energy in the doorway of my room facing inward. It was a dark, all I saw was a dark being. It was just a dark being. It had no bright energy. Its body was black. And the fear was immense. I mean, my heart was pounding. I was sweating and I could not move. And it was like you blink, right? And like a horror movie, it's just like right there. And then you blink again and it's right there. That's like exactly what happened. It just jumped from there and then right there. And the instant that it grabbed onto me like this from behind, it grabbed onto me like that. That's when I was able to wake up and I came out of the paralysis. Believe you me, I left the lights on for the rest of that night. But indeed, that was when that energy latched onto mine, and I was not able to release that until my Kundalini Awakening in 2020, at which point, there were a number of things happening, in my house, things falling off of the wall in divine timing, black orbs flying all around me, excruciating fear that I was experiencing. And, I had no idea, though when the Kundalini Awakening was happening throughout the entire process, I did not fear. I accepted it full-heartedly because it was the most incredible thing I had ever experienced. And I knew that it was meant to happen. And it was moving through every chakra. And it was like, if you could imagine somebody that's being completely taken over and they're in another dimension and they're just lit up and all they can do is just look up and their mouth is open. Imagine like light coming out of your mouth. This is exactly what it was like. It was divine. And there were certain song tracks that I would listen to at night that were actually designed for me. And my particular Kundalini Awakening, I would listen to it every night before bed, and it would initiate the electromagnetic shocks along my chakras, along my spine, in sync with the music, in sync with the music itself. And it was helping my process along, which it felt absolutely incredible. It really felt so good. It did not hurt at all. And here's the thing. It's actually kind of hard for me to remember exactly how it felt. Of course, now it's been 3 years and I've gone through a lot. And for those, I'm going to say 2 weeks to a month, it truly was a full body orgasm. It was a full body orgasm. It felt incredible. I mean, there was nothing like it. I was completely opened up. During this Kundalini Awakening, I was remembering my divinity. I had instant downloads of ancient wisdom, and I'm not really sure if I would consider them downloads or just a remembering. But I guess either way that you look at it, it does not matter because of the oneness of all things. It doesn't matter if you say that you downloaded it, or it doesn't matter if you say that it emerged from the depths within. It's all the same. Now, synchronicities occur on a daily basis for spiritually conscious souls, omens in nature, all of these things, all of these spirit huacas that come into our reality in order to help us, to give us messages, to give us symbols. And, that we can use as our allies. Dreams as well. Dreams can be spirit huacas too. However, during the Kundalini Awakening, well, for me in particular, during my Kundalini Awakening, I could not even stand before you and describe with language the level of synchronicity that I was, and that was occurring as a result during that time. Pieces of my life, I literally viewed my life as a puzzle, and I was like working in the higher realms. I wasn't even working. I wasn't even intentionally doing it. It was happening around me. It was happening through me. Songs, people, places, phrases, movies, all of these things are valid because they're a part of they're a part of the earthly experience. And all things are energy. And energy syncs up. But, all of these pieces were being put together, and I was more at one and whole, and I had more clarity than ever before in my life prior to that point. Now, there was one point where, I'm going through this on a daily basis. It was like taking a psychedelic, whether that's, shrooms or acid. It was like being on a hallucinogenic drug. And it was just remarkable. I was up in my room one day while I was experiencing all of this and just letting it flow through me while I functioned and operated the best that I could in my life. And it just came over me. My vision went like heat waves. It just went like heat waves. And I was like this, and it overcame me so much that I had to fall back on my bed like this, and I just looked out my window, and I saw stars shooting past me. It wasn't like when you get lightheaded and you see stars. That wasn't what was happening. I actually saw stars, like I was heading like through a tunnel. Like I was teleporting through some sort of wormhole in broad daylight while I was wide awake. And of course, I just let this happen. I feared not. I just let this occur. And I don't know what that was. I don't know what that was about. I'm not sure why I saw only 3 stars. I do have great connection with Orion's belt and like the pyramids of Giza. But I didn't perceive that as like Orion's belt because it was like 1, 2, 3. So whatever, whatever that means. And then, eventually I came out of that. Okay. I didn't really, I don't know why that happened or where I went, but I certainly was still right here in this body. I was just traveling through time to somewhere else, maybe in another one of my bodies that I wasn't physically aware of, and I was still here and carried on. What it did was it completely stripped me of my ego. And for the trauma and conditioning that I had coming up as a starseed in this world from a young child born into a family that I didn't receive confidence from. In fact, I received quite the opposite, subconsciously and directly through their behaviors. So I came from a place of great low self-esteem and dis-ease within. What happened with my Kundalini Awakening is it stripped me of my ego. So truly through and through. When I landed back down on ground level, so to speak, after my Kundalini Awakening, and I was faced with all of these, all of my challenges and obstacles that I needed to overcome, and cleaning all the corners and crevices of my internal psyche in order to get back to that state. Kundalini absolutely showed me the life, the reality, and the love that I can experience in this lifetime. I never once doubted that. But what I was then realized that I was faced with was the task of getting back there and doing what is required. So when I was back down here, though, I was stripped of my ego because of it. You could imagine it like a naked baby that was lost, and that sounds funny, and we surely can laugh. We can absolutely laugh at that. But it does not negate that it was absolutely true, that it did feel like a naked and fearful, lost, afraid baby that was absolutely terrified of everything and had to embark upon this quest on the internal landscape of my soul. And along that way, a lot of it was like, we call it soul retrieval, retrieving things from the past that were lost, the best parts of ourselves from the past that were lost. I don't really think it's so much of a retrieval as it is letting go of the chaos and disease that has covered those parts up within ourselves. Again, whichever way that you want to look at it is fine. However, I prefer to put it in words as we are already whole at all times, underneath in the core, underneath any layers of fog or funk or dis-ease. The idea is letting go of that fog, that funk, and disease in order to let the true light of your wholeness and your oneness, of your true nature through. When we say soul retrieval, it's almost as if though, like, we have been taken a piece of our truth and it's lost somewhere. Whereas I don't believe and I do not encourage that to be viewed in that way. But more so, it's already whole. However, mentally traveling back to a time where we remember the feeling of that wholeness awakens that part of us deep within, and it's able to emerge through the muck and the funk and come out. What the Kundalini does is it essentially forces you into complete and thorough healing because you are a chosen light worker. Whether you're a starseed or a light worker or a twin flame, whatever the case may be, if you have a Kundalini awakening, what that means is there's no going back. Why ever would you want to go back anyway? Why ever would you want to go back after experiencing the utmost bliss, unconditional perpetual love, and wholeness, remembering your true nature in a Kundalini awakening? Presence, intention, and present awareness burns through that film like a transmutational fire. Your presence burns through the film of fog, the film of not understanding and of disease. So truly, presence, meditation is such a great tool, particularly when these patterns are reoccurring and in the midst of the old patterns and thoughts and belief systems like doubt and fear and thoughts of separation. Another thing to consider is that all of these things can run deep, very deep on different levels. You might be aware of it up here and not completely aware of it. The idea is to bring your presence into your very core. Because when you bring your awareness to your core, it burns through everything else. And then you become that which you desire. You are all that is. And also it takes inspired action. It takes the realization of your wholeness and your oneness and your awareness, and then it takes action aligned with that. You know, when you have the present awareness and the image of the life that you desire, you then take action towards that in full confidence. And the universe has no choice by the law of attraction to deliver that back. And if the universe is not delivering that back and you're still receiving patterns of not being good enough or not giving enough, not giving your 100% toward your life to receive what you desire, that all that is a tool that helps you recalibrate your awareness and your intention, that helps you come back into your presence and be aware of what is happening and why, and how to redirect that. If you have had a Kundalini awakening and you're a twin flame or you're a light worker, whoever you are that has had a Kundalini awakening, and if you feel lost or if you feel swallowed by the fear of uncertainty, call upon your higher self and your spirit guides to imbue you with the knowing and the understanding that you are one with life, and that whatever is occurring at this moment for you is absolutely meant to be happening. And it is your greatest compass. It's your greatest tool towards recalibration, or your greatest guide. The message that you need in every moment is right where you are. That's the message that you'll receive. So let life teach you, let life guide you, and stay present. Don't run from the things that you feel that you would prefer not to experience. You know, when we run from those emotions and those thought patterns is when we're choosing not to heal them. We're choosing not to burn through and dissolve them with our presence. But there's nothing to fear because it's only a frequency, and you are the creator. You have the power. You in particular have the power more than any other being on this planet to change your own life. And all it is a recalibration of the mind. okay, of your thoughts, of your beliefs. Choose meditation. Choose to clean and refine the things that you're consuming through your eyes, through your ears, through your mouth. We aren't only what we eat, we're what we watch, what we listen to, what we read, the people that we spend time with, the thoughts that we indulge upon, our inner dialogue with ourselves. These things occur without us even realizing it half of the time. So the first step, number one, is to become exquisitely conscious of our own thoughts and our own habits. That's when we become aware, and that's when we become empowered, because then we can redirect our choices and our thoughts and our actions towards the life that we are desiring, and along this path, you'll lose a lot that you've always had. You'll have to break habits. You'll maybe have to sever certain connections. And always the goal is to reach a place of peace within, where you send these souls unconditional love and gratitude for being a part of your life. It isn't about, quick, get away from me, get all these things away from me, I gotta run. No, it's about being still, being open and flowing, and just trusting yourself, trusting this universe, trusting the flow of your life, and not trying to push anything away or pull anything towards you, because by the law of energy, that will create blocks, that will create resistance when you're trying to force something. To become enlightened is to allow what is to be, and to be present with it, and to understand it. And this includes all emotions, all frequencies, all thought patterns that are running through you. If you've had a Kundalini Awakening, or you're going through these things, it's because you're meant to be in your wholeness. You're meant to live your highest potential, the life of your dreams. And what that means is it's already done. So you have nothing to fear. Anything that you're working through, just ease with it. Just be at ease and just trust. Become aware of your thoughts and your patterns and your habits and your cycles. And just observe them for what they are. How do they make you feel? Where is the root of this coming from? What thoughts are actually aligned with my greatest potentials and ease in life? And what actions can I take to get there? And if the actions that you're taking to get there aren't quite working out yet, the universe is asking you to dance, baby. And dance you will. Dance you will with the universe. Look up at the sky and say, I'm willing to dance with you. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to step in to my highest potential and truth. And when you make that commitment, and you commit 100%, and you walk in that path, it's inevitable that you will be in your highest truth, that you will burn through any foggy layers, confusion. So most of your life, here's perhaps the greatest piece of advice that I'll give you in this video. Most of your life and journey, and my friends, I say this with the deepest compassion and love in my heart, truly, because I feel this for myself. Most of your life's journey and path is meant to be figured out on your own. It's meant to be intuitively interpreted from your own soul. Omens in nature, dreams, why something is happening in a relationship of any nature. You are the one. You are the leader. You're the commander of your own life. That means that it's meant for you to interpret and use that tool and that guidance along your own path. It isn't meant to, well, I had this dream or this happened, so let me go and ask someone else, which we're so conditioned and accustomed to see all for centuries. We go to the oracle, or we go to the psychic, and we do all these things. When you have Christ consciousness within you, that is readily accessible at all times when you choose to invoke it and call upon it and shapeshift into it, to become it. But the majority of your path is meant for you to figure out, embark upon, discover, and learn for yourself. And that is just so rewarding. There's no greater feeling. That's inner union. And that's the goal that we're all working towards. And when I say working towards that, that means letting go of everything that blocks that inner union from shining through. And you have the power to make that happen by your presence, your focus, your intention, and the action that you take. I hope this finds you well. I want to thank you for liking this video, and please, if you want to see more of this content, subscribe for more. Thank you for joining me. Stay safe and honor your truth in every moment.